And we're back.
And I'm back. No, I'm just gonna have to remember everything I did, and then
everything you said exactly.
Everything I said. I'm gonna just be completely charming, like I was the first time.
Exactly.
That was our practice round, the hypothetical.
That was the what would Audra and Jane Jira do?
But no, it's good. You know, I have all this stuff here that I brought, so we'll get to that, and
I brought a prop for the dinosaur question.
You'll be okay, Paul. I'm pretty
sweet. But Dante, you should see this March for me. Like the bookings doubled. It's crazy.
That's good.
Yay!
Nice.
Here we are. We're about to go live.
Yay!
Am I saying everybody's name right? Because I have a feeling I'm not saying everyone's name right. All right, I can do this.
You got it.
This.
Okay. It's gonna be a good. It's a good Sunday. Let's do this.
We're now streaming. I'm gonna make you guys co-host in case I'm not feeling well. I'm not feeling the best this morning.
Yeah,
I hope you feel better.
Yo, yo, yo. Good morning. This morning we're running on CPT. Suitman was running late as usual. First time out of 3, so shit happens. How's everybody doing today? Make some noise, make some noise, make some noise.
I'm happy.
This morning's guest is comedian and magician Paul Kilmer. Give it up for Paul. Introduce yourself.
Yay!
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Paul. What got you started in comedy? What's your name, etc.?
Well, my name's Paul. When I was 9, I was diagnosed with autism, and I learned a couple of tricks from my grandfather, and that kind of set me down the garden path of learning how to manipulate playing cards. And then soon after that, I started doing children's magic shows, and the comedy really came into view for me 2 years ago. It's just something I've always wanted to do, and now I'm completely addicted to making strangers laugh. So
yeah, and see, and I love that feeling. Trust me. Like I said, I've gotten into entertainment, and you get a taste of it, and you're like, ooh, that was kind of fun. So I've watched a little bit now. So you got to show me a trick again. I love the manipulation with the hands and the cards.
All right. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you something with my 2 favorite cards, the Queen of Spades and the Queen of Clubs. And what this is
Queen.
that I'm going to show you the difference between sleight of hand and an optical illusion. An optical illusion is something that actually happens within the environment naturally. A sleight of hand takes a little bit of manipulation. You got to manipulate the cards. But I'm going to create an optical illusion. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of start spinning the cards in a clockwise manner. And I'm just going to kind of just slow it down.
What?
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Like I said, but here's the thing about this. This isn't real. What you're seeing is an illusion. As you can see, the 2 queens are.
What the what?
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
I'm not some weird dude that I don't know why I'm sure.
And I know you can't give away your trick, the tricks of the trade, but wow, see, that's what gets me. I always loved watching magic shows. I know one of like the typical ones are like Chris Angel, David
Yeah.
Blaine. Those are the big ones. But yeah, it's
Um,
still really cool.
I can actually show you how to do one.
Yay!
You just have to
Ooh.
promise not to tell anybody.
Yeah. And the other
Um,
hundreds of viewers will
It's
all
a secret,
promise.
guys.
This is something I like to do. You can use any form of currency you want. I use a $1 bill because I am poor.
Okay.
Relatable.
That's why people like me. Anyway, how this works is it all depends on how you fold it. Now, this is kind of like a quick stunt. I used to walk up to a person at the bar and say, "You see George Washington," and they'd be like, "I don't want you here." And I was like, "I'll bet you $20 I can get him to flip upside down without turning the bill over." And they're like, "I don't care about this." And I was like, "I'm gonna do it anyway because I'm being paid to." So what happens is you fold the bill in half and then you fold it in on itself. Now this will work. I promise you, if you do exactly what I just did, it'll work. And all you got to do is flick and you can see that George Washington has flipped upside down, but I didn't turn the bill over. And now they're interested. Not really. This is a real story, but I'm just making it up. There's a faster way to do this. And this is what people like is you can do the same move. You don't have to fold the bill. You just have to hit it right here where the 1 is. And it goes back to normal.
No.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I broke it. Listen, sometimes you will accidentally break it. It all depends. You hit it, you'll hit it too hard. But that's okay. That didn't go the way I wanted it to. But
I thought you were gonna fix it.
Oh no, we don't fix things around here. I don't
I was
believe in
waiting for it to
fixing
come back.
things.
Oh.
No, nothing. We don't fix things. Things are good the way they are. That's
That
my motto.
that is a great metaphor.
Yes.
We don't
But
fix it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
or if it is broke, just buy a new one.
Yeah.
Why would we fix it?
The thing I like to do, and what I'm about to show you is the first thing I created when I started doing comedy, and this is my flashy opener, and it basically looks like this. I come out and say, it's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, I am a comedy magician," which means I don't have to be funny.
True.
And I'm a magician, and I don't have to do any magic because I'm the Raisin Bran of comedy magic. It just sits in your cabinet.
Yeah.
But so this is how it looks. I go ahead and
Oh boy, we're set. Oh, we're setting things on fire.
it's a banana.
It's magic.
It's a banana because I used to do this with a bird, and they don't like being set on fire.
No animals being hurt. No animals.
This bird is on fire.
I do plan on eventually using a dove again. I just have to wait a little while.
Aww.
Yeah, I know this bird's gonna be real confused when it's bird's nest. I stole this, but anyway.
Mom now.
It's okay. They'll make more anyway. So over the past 2 years, I've created this I think what really helps me with I think what helps me is my sense of timing, and I think I really do get it from the autism.
Yeah, that's honestly, yeah. I would think so, because I think you're probably, I tend to say that autistics tend to be more empathetic and aware of their surroundings. So I think you tend to people watch, you tend to watch what's going on around you. So I
Especially when you
definitely,
have anxiety.
yeah,
I
exactly.
got some tips for anxiety because I'll tell you what. Um, Last year I did a school assembly for about maybe 300 kids between the ages of 2 and 6.
Oh,
And I'm primarily a children's entertainer. People know it's like, oh, Paul's a children's magician, even though I do all kinds of magic. And I love performing for kids because I love to do autism advocacy. And I like to include all kinds of groups of people. And during this during this set, all the teachers were coming in. I'm talking a lot of kids, and you know as well as I do, little kids have the ability to cut you deeper than any adult would.
they
And
are brutally honest.
uh, and I do this little thing where I take out you know, those little things where you say you go to an event and the guy has to, these kind of like little things, 2 flashlights that you use the direct planes in. And I'm
Okay.
kind of
Yeah.
running around. I'm like, you go here and you go here, and I'm engaging everybody. And I got compliments because it's like as soon as my music hits, I completely take control over the situation. And I remember 2 years ago, I was doing a 6-year-old girl's birthday party. And afterwards, she comes up to me and says, Magical Paul, I just want to let you know, and you know it's going to be terrible because and then
Not usually Paul is good.
she looks up at me and she doesn't have, her 2 front teeth are gone, and she says, Masha Paul, you should look into you losing some weight because I want you to come to my birthday party next year. Implying that I was going to die in the next year and a half.
Oh.
And my fiance's been trying to get me to lose weight for years. So I'm thinking that my fiance paid this little girl to tell me to lose weight. So I think all the years of performing for kids helped me, especially in the beginning when you start in comedy, you go to open mics and they're just filled with angry comedians, and occasionally friends of another comedian come in and they don't laugh because they only are going to laugh at their friends. And
No way.
we all know how that goes.
You're telling me comedians just don't laugh at everybody's jokes? Come on, buddy. You're fucking with me, right? There's politics to this. You got to be kidding me, right?
you should know better than anyone.
Oh fuck! God,
Was that just like
damn.
an early morning diss?
I love it when the
Yeah.
special kid gives me shit. It kills me. So. I remember when I was a paraeducator, we had this Asperger's kid named Allison, and we're sitting there one day, and the lowest manic kid comes in, and the teacher goes, "Where's your homework?" And he's like, something, something, my dog, this, that, and the other." And out of left field, Allison goes, "You don't have a dog, and you don't know how to read anyways." And the whole room just went dead. It was just dead. You could drop a pin drop. All of us in there were just like, whoa! It might as well have been one of those videos where the black kid drops his phone and skates backwards off. It was just like, you're a son of a bitch, Paul. I heard what you said.
Well, I just, for me, comedy is so new because it's like I consider myself to be a lifelong learner because I'm always learning things about myself, other people, and I really appreciate you guys for having me on to, you know, share my experience, especially you know, growing up, you know, in a time, and you guys, you know, you're a little, you know, some of you are a little older, and you
Oh.
understand what it was like to grow up with a disability in a very hostile environment. And open mic comedy and growing up in the 90s, I always equated it's kind of the same thing, in the fact that you're kind of dealing with people's egos and they don't really understand why you're different, because autism is sometimes is on the inside. So you'll look completely normal, but and then people will try to dismiss it like, oh, this is my favorite. I love this. You look so high functioning. And I'm like, that's not going to help me
I
at
know,
all.
right?
Don't
My
you love it when people are
favorite
like,
phrase.
you
And I-
don't
and-
look autistic?
You just you've just dismissed my entire life experience.
You
Yeah.
could be like me and have your friends one day when you start a podcast go, "You're autistic, right?" And then your best friend from high school's like, your good friend from high school's like, "Well, I always thought you were autistic. You've always been weird." And you go, "Well, I've never been diagnosed, you prick." Oh, we're talking about me again.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
talking about these three people sitting next to each. So, Paul, it's funny you say that, because I grew up on the other end of the spectrum. I look normal and I act normal for the most time till you talk to me. And then I went back to thinking about growing up, and I was in portable classes my whole life.
Mm.
And she can tell you when I got to high school, they can tell you when I got to high school, I was the biggest nerd in the school, but you would have never known it by talking to me. So
He was actually one of like the jocks, the athletes. That's how I
yeah,
categorized him in high school. Although I don't like those, you know, niche type things.
Well, I think as a society, doing so much autism advocacy in my state and working with different groups, people who don't have a disability should never tell anybody else anything. Like, I happen to know some very, very funny comedians that just happen to have physical or mental disabilities. And one of the things that people tell me across the board is how normal people like to tell them that their disabilities aren't that bad when they are compared against their family.
Yes.
And that's just a societal problem, because people will look at you and in 10 seconds already form an opinion based on all the BuzzFeed articles that they've read. I have a rule of thumb. If I'm not an expert in something, I don't feel like I should be giving advice to anybody. If somebody wants to ask me my life experience, I'll be more than happy to tell them that it's just, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of different people, and it took better part of 10 years to be able to perform in front of people. And you guys know how hard it is. And when I didn't start, I started speech therapy when I was 6
Oh,
or 7.
yeah.
But they're starting kids at 2 and 3, and they didn't know I had autism. They just assumed that I had ADD or ADHD, which are their own debilitating diseases like dyslexia. I know a lot of people who struggle with them.
Right.
And
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's me.
Yeah.
yeah, and then you have this guy. It's like, oh, I remember specifically my mom and dad sitting down with a psychologist, and my dad being like, "There's nothing wrong with my son. He just has high energy." And then the person's like, "Oh, your son has ADHD. We're going to put him on Ritalin." And then my dad becoming insecure and hurt. And then there's just me not understanding anything, but just memorizing
Right.
everything. And the fact that just that example, it's like, oh, you have ADHD, calm down. I hate that.
I
I
can
know,
relate
right?
to
Say
that.
that. to someone.
Yeah, I
Um,
scored a
Yeah.
98% on the ADHD test. Woohoo, I
Yeah.
didn't even have to study. It was so great.
yeah.
And then my mom was like, "No, you don't have it." And it's like, that's a pretty big number. Pretty high score.
Yeah.
I aced it, man.
Ah, my
You
heart.
know, and I think for me is schizophrenia, autism, ADHD, they're all on varying spectrums. And I have a really sneaking suspicion that in the next 20 years, it's going to be one spectrum. Everybody, it's like autism, ADHD. No, it's the mind, and it's just calibrated to a different frequency. It's just one big spectrum that you just happen to be on. That's just my, like I said, I don't have a degree from a degree granting institution. I'm just saying that, you know, when I look at the field, because I do a lot of shows for Yale University, who has a really good autism department, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Shout out to Yale.
Yeah.
yeah, and you know, and I sit there and I see the work that they're doing with these little kids, and it's like, they do something that's full inclusion where, you know, they study people who are neurotypical, and then they will study people on various different spectrums, and what they do with what they're doing now as opposed to what they did 10 years ago is just amazing.
Honestly, I have to be really proud of the advocates who have come up recently. I mean, we've done a lot of work, and the original ones who paved this way, I give them credit. Dr. Grandin, uh, John Elder Robinson, Dr. Shore. There's lots of them out there who started this, and it has made such progress that, like you said, we are here now doing what we are and
Yeah.
learning about ableism and how we can help ourselves with our own internal ableism. And I would love to ask, so for all those out there who are saying, oh my gosh, this guy's a comedian, he's a magician, how does he get up and perform in front of people, and he's autistic? Do you have any kind of tip or trick for those watching out there who might want to get into this
Um,
field?
so what I would say is that it's not going to happen overnight. There are comedians that I've met who don't have autism, and they all tell me, and I feel really bad for Dante because he said I had food poisoning about 2 weeks ago, dude. I feel so bad, but uh, uh, to answer your question is, you know, the old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day, but that's because Roman people didn't build it. I mean, I'm sorry, that's a history joke.
I actually liked it. Did you hear me laugh?
Yeah.
That was
Um,
great.
but it's connecting with the right people. I have a 35-minute presentation called Magic with a Message, where I go in and try to inspire people on various spectrums to follow whether it's drawing anime, creating erotic fan fiction, whatever you want.
Right.
All of our tastes
Those are two things that I do.
I was gonna say those
Yeah.
are very good things.
You know, it's just like, I always tell people, you will find a tribe, you will find people who support you. And I've been very lucky to meet comedians like Suit Man. You know, I just like, I like how he has an alternate personality. Um, and that's not a knock on him, because it's like, I'll appear in your Zoom comedy show. It's like, who's this guy wearing the Hawaiian shirt? This is kind of a character that I play, but this character is the sum total of like almost 30 years of performing, which 10 were just performing with myself in front of a mirror. And it just takes time. And I'll tell you, the first open mic I did, is I didn't realize I was like, oh, you can come down. I didn't realize it was a show, because I
Oh,
didn't know the difference between a open mic and a showcase, and I didn't know the
oh,
difference
yeah.
between a feature and a headliner.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I had done improv in college, so I thought I knew what a show was, but there's a difference between like improv theater and stand-up comedy.
Oh, big.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
all my friends came down and watched, and of course they laughed. So the next open mic I did, and I got crickets. It
Yep.
was a learning curve, just like
Ow.
that, exactly like that. It was a learning curve, and I started learning all these. For me, I'm constantly picking up tips and tricks, just not in magic, just in life. You know, try not to trail off in a conversation, try to make eye contact.
So you don't
Yeah,
have to make eye contact. Honestly, I never make eye
yeah.
contact unless I have to. But I want to get to a really deep part of that conversation that just happened, which is Paul is unmasking and becoming the real Paul while
Yeah,
putting on another mask, which is his authentic Paul.
This
yeah.
isn't even my
Ooh.
final form.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh my gosh, he took his final form.
yeah.
Exactly.
Because I think that what the issue is that growing up, I was forced to look at myself, and it's like, okay, well, how do I make myself funny? Because in magic we have something called misdirection, and misdirection kind of looks like this. You take a coin, that's a coin, and you take a pencil, and I'm just gonna go ahead because I need to. Okay, so you take the coin and you tell them, don't take your eye off the coin because you're going to accuse me of cheating. I'm going to, but just not right now.
Okay.
Stop line. But watch, 1, 2, 3. The
Uh,
coin is gone. But then because it was over ear, which is a terrible joke,
yeah.
and then you make the coin disappear.
Oh.
That works based, it's not sleight of hand. I'm getting you to look somewhere else when I'm doing the dirty work. So what ends up happening is that when you do misdirection, the easiest way to use it is to tell a joke. It breaks the tension and they look away. Well, unfortunately,
Oh.
I don't have any concept of timing or a joke, and that's the thing that I always work on. How do I improve my timing? How do I get them to look away? Is what I'm saying offensive? How can I better myself? Because I have no concept of time, and when I say that, for me is I can spend 8 hours practicing one move that I will never show anybody.
And is that just for your own?
No,
Your
that's
own?
just because I get so I'll stim out on a.
Oh, it's like it's an emotional
Yeah.
release. Oh, I
So
gotcha.
what ends up happening is that I'll just sit there, and all I'll do is I'll be turning the top card over, and I'll just be turning the top card over, and then my fiance will come into the room. It's like, this is all you're doing, and I'll just be doing this, and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I have no idea.
That is
Because
an awesome stem.
so what ends up happening is that for me personally, it's I need to create a new trick for my show, and then I'll start watching anime, and then that's the day. We're
Right.
not doing magic anymore. We're watching an anime. We're watching Akira that came out in the 80s, and it's the only anime I'll watch because why do I want to go watch other junk when I could watch the best? And that's just my personal opinion. I just offended everybody.
I find it funny that you talk about anime, and I chose today to wear my space dandy jacket.
I was gonna say.
Well, no, it's just the fact that, like, when I tell, it's like, what do you mean you don't have any concept of time? And I said, I don't lose time. I just don't have a concept of it. So when people talk about timing, when you do stand-up comedy, you have a setup and a punchline.
Yes.
So it's just like, hey, it's me, Paul. You don't know who I am, but you will in a couple of seconds. I have to now, I have no, I guess what I'm saying is like when I'm doing stand-up comedy, I'm creating my own narrative. And
Right.
sometimes this confuses other people because I'll do an entire set without any punchlines, but I'll end up making the audience laugh because I've created such an awkward situation. They have no, that's, you know, that's how they do it.
Right.
A lot of people don't, it's like when I first started doing stand-up comedy, I did not know what a joke was. You know, what's the simplest joke? Knock, knock, who's there? You know, I don't understand that. I don't understand, you know, it's like, don't throw stones in a glass house, you know, and I'll be like, why are you throwing stones in the glass house? And the psychologist,
thank you.
The psychologist,
why are you throwing stones at all?
The psychologist is like, he doesn't understand, like, oh, the moss is greener on the other side of the rock. And I was like, well, I'm sure you have better things to do than
so you can get your own moss together.
He doesn't, it's like, people have said, it's like, he doesn't understand. So what I'm doing is my variation of what I think comedy is.
Honestly, I think it's, I have thoroughly enjoyed this show. I love it. And anyone and those watching right now, I mean, what we've got is a person an autistic person who went on to become this magician, this comedian, put a unique act together with something was a strength to them. And when we focus on that, and then we get a successful person. Also, this person has mentioned in the show that they have a fiance, they are engaged. And so again, successful adult, it can happen.
Yeah, and I think there's this stigma inside. I don't know if you're trying to end the show, but I plan to be here for 2 to 3 hours.
Not at all, Paul. Not at all. We go for about an hour and a half.
See, this was a joke. That's the joke.
That was the joke.
That was a joke.
I got Paul. I like Paul.
You guys can go to hell. That's where my Asperger's get.
Hey man, I'm sorry.
Of sarcasm sometimes. I'm not. You said you 8:30. Let's start. Let's do this. You guys are jerks. Never mind.
Yeah. I guess the thing for me is that I just want people to know that even if you have, because I got into stand-up comedy because I did magic. It's the same way I got into balloon twisting is because I worked with I worked with kids. So it's like this weird branching evolution where it's like when I'm doing stand-up comedy right now, I didn't realize this, but I love doing crowd work. So when you see me in real life, I'm just like, hey, how you doing? I never punch down on a lot of comedians will like punch down on people in the audience, but I want the audience. It's like, I want this person as a friend. I want to go get a non-alcoholic beverage with this person later.
Yeah.
But it's just, for me, I kind of take these, every day I learn something new. Every time I take a concept and I was like, how can I twist this? It's like my catchphrase. Hey, it's me, Paul. Right. I do, it's just like, you don't know who I am, but you will, which is a callback to something I said earlier.
Right.
I'm gonna do one more trick, and then you guys can ask me whatever you want.
Yes, because
Um,
after that we'll do the lightning round. I can't wait.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So basically, one of my favorite things to do, and if anybody's seen me perform before, they know how much I love performing with a Rubik's Cube. I love
Ooh.
performing with a Rubik's Cube. It's really cool. I actually found a different way to do it. All I have to do is squeeze and I can solve it. I
Oh
know
my
it's
gosh.
crazy.
Whoa.
That's not good. No, but seriously, I can solve it. I'm just nervous, so I'm just gonna do it in this paper bag for no reason
Awesome.
whatsoever.
All right, do it.
Um, so basically, what happens is that you take the bag like this, and then you try to keep the bag in frame because you don't want people thinking you're switching them. I mean, I'm going to do that. I'm just not supposed to tell you. So what ends up happening is you put the cube in the bag, and also you need a magic wand. I call this the Intimidator. It was my grandma's favorite weapon.
Oh,
Ooh.
the wooden spoon. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Ain't
my
nothing
God.
worse than a broken wooden spoon. That shit
I
hurts
Oh yeah.
like a
right?
motherfucker. It
Ooh.
bruises,
But all she
cracks.
got to do is wave the bag over the wand, and reach in and grab the cube and show that it's
What?
solved.
Oh my
I
God.
know. It's not like there could have been 2 Rubik's cubes in the bag, but
Not at all. No
no,
way.
there is. I'm sorry, but this one's also solved.
Oh,
Whoa.
what?
I
That is
know it's crazy, and
awesome.
there's nothing else in the bag because I only have one bag.
Whoa. Okay, that was
Let's do
good.
this lightning round. I'm excited. Let's do this.
All right, lightning round consists of what I call a few neurotypical questions
Yes.
or socially appropriate questions. And then the other few questions are what I call more fun or autistic questions.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so let's get started. Number one, what is your favorite food?
It is chicken parmesan.
Ooh, yummy.
Ooh, yes, love it. What is your favorite color?
Green.
Ooh, me too. If see my wall?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, travel. If you could travel anywhere, where would you go?
I would visit all of my friends in California because that's where stand-up comedy lives.
Oh, I know, right? That or I mean, I'm from New York, so I'm going to be partial to New York City. Hey, shout out to my New York. All right. So I know you're in Connecticut, right, Paul? Is
Yeah.
that where? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know. Um, so now we'll get into my favorite fun questions. Worst thing said to you as an autistic person?
I think the worst thing that anybody ever said to me as an autistic person is I once had I think the worst thing is it's like you're using your autism to book shows.
Oh
That
no.
was particularly nasty. That hurt.
Yep, don't like that one.
Uh,
Can I get a name? Go have a
No.
conversation with him, Paul. Come on, buddy. I got your back. Let me just go talk to
I
him.
know you do.
I just want to talk to him outside. Just tell him come outside.
Come on.
Yeah.
Your favorite stimming activity?
Probably playing with cards and coins.
Yeah, that is interesting. You brought that up. It was one of my questions, anyways. Now two of my other favorite last questions: ninjas or pirates?
Pirates.
Oh, that's my man. And what is your favorite dinosaur?
yeah.
My favorite dinosaur is actually it's something called a Pachycephalosaurus.
Ooh.
You would know it from Jurassic Park as the one that has the dome head and rams into people.
Oh, yes, that
yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is awesome. That and see, and always ask that question because for some reason everybody always has an answer.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
It's because dinosaurs are cool. And
They're
They are.
they're the
cool.
best.
the way they're drawn, they're all really particularly different. Unless you talk about like the Apatosaur, the Brontosaur, the Bronchiosaur, all the big ones. There's a ton
All
of
the-
other names, but when you go Ankylosaur and
Yeah.
Triceratops and Stegosaurus, and you see all these crazy shits, or even your ramming dinosaurs,
Yeah.
they can
Yeah.
be Pachycephalosaurus. I know what it is.
Yeah.
It's I like
Well,
the ones that have the duck bill back head. I think
oh
that's
yeah.
kinda cool.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I was into dinosaurs before I was into magic, so you know, it was kind of one of those things that it captured my attention very early on, and I think that happens with people on the spectrum. They will attach themselves to a certain thing, and then over time they'll end up generating a business. I've seen it happen over and over again. People will have this really unique hobby, and then like 3 years later they somehow figured out a way to make money doing it.
Yeah.
You'll
Yes.
see it.
We have a couple of guests coming up, on other, future shows, and that will, they're all featuring the same thing where they took that one strength, that one focus they loved, and then turned it either into a business or a passion. Just again, something that they could actually have that, and I hate to say their stimming release from. I
Yeah.
know Jake Jeers with the stickers. Yes.
Well, I often say this is when I go into schools is everybody has that one thing that they really love. And when I was a kid, kids were not particularly nice, and they could never take away my natural dexterity. They could never take away that magic. They could
That's
never
true.
take away the slide. They could never take that away. And it kind of, instead of being like the weird kid who went to special ed, it's like, oh, that's Paul, he does card tricks, so it
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
gave me an identity. And I think, and I honestly don't think it's changed a lot since I was a kid. People say that a lot, but the dynamic of kids is that essentially everybody's kind of just horrible to each other. And
Yeah.
I can say I have a 17-year-old and I have an 8-year-old.
Mhm.
And I gotta say, I mean, it's not that they're too horrible, but yeah, I mean, kids are
Yeah.
sometimes just awful to each other.
Yeah, and it's all about this sort of kind of like weird social, you're in this group and I'm in this group, and sort of like if we're going to evolve as a species, we're going to have to just kind of like start, working together and helping each other understand, because I wouldn't be here without the effort of my aunt who took me and my brother in, and he's on the spectrum too. So she raised 2 autistic boys by herself. And and I wouldn't be here without, my fiance who
Aw.
actually has schizophrenia. We're
And you
two,
know
we're
what?
two.
Give it up for the people who have schizophrenia, again, living a successful life, and who are happy, because you know what? Many people, again, there's a stigma out there, and I just want to put that out there, guys. End the stigma around schizophrenia, because I
Yes.
actually have many friends who are schizophrenic, and
Same.
and they have happy normal lives. So
Yeah, I mean, anything can be managed if you're willing to put the time and effort into it. Like I said before, I consider myself to be a lifelong learner. Anytime I go to an open mic, I'm there to learn. Anytime I'm doing a showcase, I'm there to entertain. I'm always constantly coming up with new ideas and seeing how I can effectively make someone laugh. Like the thing with the bird's nest. I didn't steal that. I found it at AC Moore, and my fiance is like, "Why are you buying a fake bird's nest?" And I was like, "Trust me, I'm gonna make people laugh with it." And she's like,
I'm
It's
gonna
gonna
use
work.
the Sleight Oh, that's awesome.
It's just sometimes I see something that to me is inherently funny. It's like the spoon. Sometimes it's a spoon, sometimes it's a Slim Jim, because I used to have a bit in my act. I says, well, Harry Potter uses a wand, well, I use a Slim Jim, so I do Slim Jim magic. It's a meat-based
It's a meat.
magic. So
That is
my
awesome.
the type of comedy that I like, I'm inspired by people like Andy Kaufman. Really,
Yeah.
a lot of the people I meet in displaced comedians, like Suitman himself. I'm inspired by him, by all the shows that he puts on, and I'm very excited to work with him if that's in the cards. And
Mike Birbiglia, he's one of my other favorite comedians, and he has a joke that just it always resonates with me when we do like shows, such as this, the entertainment. And he says, he goes, when you're a comedian, it's different because you got to get on stage. And he goes, if the audience doesn't like your act, they're essentially basically saying they don't like you as a person.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what pushes me. Like when I go to a place like AC Moore, and I'll look at something like do I need a fake Cornish game hen? How can I make this funny? And my fiance's like, that's just gonna go in the pile of stuff that you bought to make people laugh. And I'm like, well, the bird's nest thing worked out. Why don't I just get a piece of taxidermy? And she was like,
my gosh.
and
Yes.
it's like, people don't understand the way my mind works. Is when I saw that bird's nest, I said to myself, I'm going to buy this and I'm going to make people laugh with it. And my fiance's just like, that's a bird's nest. What are you going to do? And
it takes a creative mind.
It's been a downfall of mine. It's like I'll be like in an antique store and I'll find like a festive knockoff Tiffany lamp, and I'm like, I can turn this into a bit. That's my
I love it.
And Dante, you've seen me perform. What are some of my favorite bits that you like?
Now you're putting me under a microscope.
I'm sorry. I didn't even bring one today.
You didn't know that I'm usually, so here's the thing, Paul. Do you know what my stemming is?
What?
Stemming is booking shows and doing stuff. I can't
Oh, nice.
still. So unfortunately for me, unlike some people, I'm not able to just sit around and just do one thing. Even when we do this show, even when we're doing our other shows, Audra and Jane will tell you I am multitasking.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
cannot.
He's been appearing and disappearing this whole time.
Yeah.
That's for other reasons. You go to hell,
Magic
you son of a
trick.
bitch. The Mexican food is not sitting well. I need to have a talk with Mimos and Auburn. Anyways,
Oh.
I'll just put it to you that way. It's coming out everywhere, you guys. It's like
Oh god, it's like cinnamon toast.
But it's funny when you talked about finding your one thing, and I think a lot of people in comedy, whether it's comedy, entertainment, or whatever, they don't find their one thing. And the testament I want to give to you, and I don't think you know this, that you do this without doing it, is that you don't associate with people who don't like you, and you figure that out real quick. I don't know how you're so good at it. I'm not that good at it. I keep a lot of snakes in my garden until they bite me one day. Oh shit, that's a snake. That's not a kitty. And then, motherfucker, I told you that wasn't a kitty. What the fuck is wrong with you? Get everything. You know what I mean? It's here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Here, shit, it bit me. No, but my kudos to you is that you've figured out, and I want to say this. You're not getting booked because you're autistic. Sometimes you may be, sometimes you aren't. But guess what? There's a whole industry of people that used to get booked because they were white and normal.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's some of that, but when you get into acting or you get into corporate gigs or even like on the show, you got this show because you were autistic. That's not a bad thing. It shouldn't be
No,
a
I know.
bad thing that you're not enabling, but you're what's the word?
We're shining a light on.
Yeah, you get what I mean. Yeah, that
Yeah.
your disability is something that's able to get you further in things, and so I wouldn't take that as a bad thing. And
Yeah.
I would suggest when people say that to you, go, "You jealous?"
That's true.
You
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 wish you
want-
could do
are you
this.
mad you're not autistic? Is that the problem? I mean, just let me know.
But no, that's the thing. I think these shows are important because there's an entire group of people out there who are doing amazing things with disabilities, and they're killing it. And I think this show is important. And it's like I always I know you guys are trying to. I'm going to tell this story. Um, when I do these events, when I do a magic with a message, I often leave at the end of the show room for people to ask me questions. And um, so basically what ended up happening was is this little girl asked me how to handle bullies effectively.
Oh, good question.
And what I told her is sometimes all it takes is you to sit down with them and explain the fact that you are having trouble and you're not helping. And then I get a letter from my friend Audra, who basically she runs an amazing group called SEPTO. It's the special education parent teach.
It's
She's gonna kill
teachers.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
yeah,
I
she's
know
gonna
what it
kill
is. I
me.
know Septo. Mhm.
I'm sorry, Audra. She's an amazing person, and she has 2 amazing kids. And they said you're up. The state's going to give you an award because I guess the little girl wrote a letter to Audra, and I guess she sat down with her bullies, and she's not bullied anymore.
Oh,
And the state recognized me, and they gave me this award.
what?
Whoa.
And I always tell people, you never know who you're going to affect. And it might have, these are all just, I'm old school. I keep all my press clippings.
I do too.
Wow.
And I often tell people, you never know who you're going to affect doing what you do. I was able to increase the quality of life of this, I think she was 8-year-old girl
Wow.
being bullied because she had autism. And I was really bummed because the person who was on before me, I thought everybody left and there was 8 people. And I was like, and then when I found this out, and I was like, but the one person who needed to be in that audience was there.
Oh, that's what this is about. It's what there's so much division going on between politics and even within the autistic community. There's a lot of division, with the advocacy work. And honestly, that's a good message right there too. It's just be kind. I understand some of us have disagreements about things, but I think what we have to do moving forward is you never know what you're going to say or do that could affect somebody else in a positive way. And that is awesome right there. That's the kind of advocate work I like to see.
Yes.
Because I look at it this way, and I always tell this to people. It's not so much what you say, it's not so much what you do, it's how you say it, it's how you carry yourself. I happen to carry myself with a lot of confidence. It wasn't always that way. I had people throughout my life kind of like act as a bridge.
Yeah.
So you're looking at the sum total of 37 years of people helping me. It's just not me. It's someone pulling me aside and saying, hey, this punchline's weird, do this. Or, hey, you're flashing on this card move, do this. I always tell it takes a tribe, it takes a village. And when you find that village and tribe, it's awesome because you will find it eventually.
Oh, you will. And just like Dante says, it's, it's difficult when, you can't disassociate yourself from the other people. And so some of that can be hurtful, but you've done a great job, being able to handle some criticism and even feedback in a constructive way. And again, I got to tell you, because being on here, people don't realize how vulnerable this is. And while I love the show, and and thank you for, all of your compliments about the show, but people don't realize how much work and how much vulnerability goes into doing this kind of entertainment.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
You talked about finding a team. What we're building at Suitman, I say we, like it's not me, but I say we, I can be humbler, right? But what I'm building at Suitman Productions is exactly that. That's what I looked for. Jane Gier is one of the original members of the team. Actually, Jane Gier has been designing flyers now for me for over a year and a half, a year and 8 months. And the idea was finding a team of people that believe in you. The biggest thing I see in you, Paul, is you've got people that believe in you, kind of like you believe in me. And when you have good people that believe in you, sometimes they weed out the bad fuckers for you.
Yeah.
And then the even better part is like now with us at Autastic, I don't know if you know, but we're doing another disability show this afternoon. You may be interested. It's called Dating with Disabilities.
Oh.
and now I laugh because we talked about this earlier. We're getting into those taboo subjects.
Yeah.
We're gonna be vulnerable. We're not asking questions. We're letting people offer up their stories. So while you're offering up that story, you may get a question, right? But it's one of those where what are you trying to do to impact? And I think that is our. I had to chime in on this because that is our at Suitman's biggest thing. Is your story is about representation.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think people understand how big what we're doing at Suitman Productions is, because without the representation of an autistic person coming into that school to do a show, that other autistic girl never would have had that experience, right? So do we take that to LGBTQ? Do we take that to disabilities? We have Benny Shakes on our show this afternoon. And it was hilarious to see Jane's face because I heckle him as much as I heckle you other fuckers.
Well, for me, and I got this from performing for children, is I don't see it. I cancel out the negative. I don't see it. It's like people heckle me. And I do two things. I don't necessarily. So I'll give you an example. When people heckle me, I just turn it into a part of the show. So if like somebody heckles me, I'm like, if you're gonna yell out during my show, you might want to make it entertaining to add to the production value.
Right? Exactly.
You paid for this, and that usually stops it. One of my favorite lines that I use in my kids show, and this is just understanding just a tiny bit of psychology. I have little kids. I'll be doing a trick. I'll just be doing a simple trick where I take I take a blue handkerchief and put it in a bag, and the kid will be like, I know how that's done. But they're not. A lot of people don't understand is the child isn't attacking you. What they're saying is, I have that trick too. I'm smart.
Oh,
So,
thank you. Exactly.
so what I do is I go when they say, "Oh, I know how that's done," and I'm like, "Me too."
Yeah. Because
Um,
it's their way of saying, hey, I'm cool like you.
yeah. So what I do is instead of like, because a lot some magicians might take that as, oh, this person yelled during my show. Well, when I do magic with a message, and I do my special magic show, I do a low impact magic show for people with um, developmental disabilities. And sometimes the only way some of these individuals can communicate is they will get up in the middle of your show and scream at the top of their lungs.
Yeah. Hmm.
And to me, I take that as a compliment.
It is. Because that's their excitement.
Yeah. And the great thing about my sensory friendly show that I've been developing for the past 4 or 5 years,
That's fantastic right there.
I can stop whenever. If there's an actual medical emergency, I my show is completely modular. It could be 15 minutes, it could be a half an hour. I have you could if my fiance knew how much I spent in magic tricks, she'd be really angry at me. So
Oh, she knows. Don't
I
think
can
she knows.
She
know
knows.
She knows now.
She knows. She's the one who handles the money.
CFO.
But the and I do these shows either for free or at a discounted price, because I've found that a lot of performers won't do the shows because they don't know how to, and that's okay because you can pick and choose the shows, but I like performing for all people, and just the joy that I get out of, maybe you're not having a good day and I'll do a coin trick and I'll engage these individuals and they're not used to having people engage them. And that's the one thing about having a disability that I really hate, is the fact that there are people out there who, oh, well, I'm not dealing with you. You know, it's kind of like the old adage of, you might see somebody on the bus rocking back and forth and talking to themselves. Well, that's kind of like the person I gravitate towards. That's the person that, it's like, hey, have you eaten today? How are you? With,
At least
it's just,
saying, hey, what's going on? Again, not to be like that inspiration
yeah,
or inspiration porn kind of thing, as I like to call it, but again, just to be a good human being.
I
yeah.
told you guys that is I feel like I gravitate towards Jane and I gravitated towards Audra, and for whatever reason I met Paul and was like, I get along with Paul. What's going on with Paul?
What's going on here?
Well, no, Paul was telling jokes and we were in a chat room and I just like wasn't getting them. And
Yeah,
so I started being sarcastic to Paul, and Paul didn't get it. Everybody else in the room was like, are these guys sneak dissing each other? And it was like, no, we're special needs and printing on each other. Oh, that's how you think? Okay, that's how. You remember what I'm talking about, Paul, right? Like,
yeah.
It was real awkward because everybody else in the room was literally like, is Dante going to beat up Paul? Paul's making jokes and Dante's not getting them. So then Dante made jokes at Paul. And they're like, oh, fuck, Paul's not getting Dante's jokes either. This is going to go good. We weren't talking shit, but our sarcasm was just so different. And then it's monotone. And I'm
because
you got to.
I learned.
Oh, let me say this though. With my deafness, I can't deal with monotone people.
Yeah.
And so I found that I don't know why I'm attracted to him, but it intrigues me. Oh, you're monotone. Let me figure out what you're really trying to say. I enjoy trying to figure out where your sarcasm comes in because I can't hear it. So that's me, and I can't figure it out. So I have to study you fuckers. That's all.
He enjoys the challenge.
Yeah.
He enjoys the challenge.
Fuck you, Jane. You don't know me.
Yeah. The thing about me is, and I think I brought this up earlier, is sarcasm and timing. when somebody is sarcastic with me, I think they're asking me a question.
Yes.
So I will answer the question. I think in the space of, I think in a literal space.
Yes.
It's linear. I'll give you an example. I work at a movie theater as my part-time job. And I had a guy, it was Christmas time, and everybody's there. And this guy came up to me and said, I just want to let you know, you're the fastest concessionist I had. And I was like, hey, thank you.
Yeah. I would have
was like,
said the
"Thank
same
you for that."
thing.
I was thank you for that compliment. He's like, yeah, it's a big compliment. And it's like this guy was just getting angry and more sarcastic. And here I am thinking that he is complimenting me. And I was like, hey, listen, will you tell that to my manager so I can get a concession coupon? Yeah, I want to talk to your manager.
Oh, geez.
Not realizing that he was trying to complain. No, it wasn't my fault that there were 100 people there that day. So my manager was also is also autistic.
Awesome.
So basically,
Oh,
he's like,
fuck.
this is the fastest concessionist you have. And he's like, yeah, Paul's pretty fast. And the guy got so angry because the guy wrote out the coupon and handed it to me. He left without his food.
Oh.
But think about that in the mind of the person. This guy is complaining and he's using sarcasm on a person who doesn't understand sarcasm. So no, I get a free concession coupon for chicken tenders, and this guy was trying to complain that I wasn't doing a good job. But everybody was slow. But I don't get so Dante, I understand that. So when you're being sarcastic, I'm answering your questions, not understanding what sarcasm is.
And when you're deadpan, I don't understand deadpan. I don't get that.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
that's the deadpan. A lot of people think it's a character I play. It's just I have something that's called a flat affect, and
Yeah.
it's what generates laughter for me. So
Yes.
I'll go, it's like, hey, it's me, Paul, from before.
See, I actually love that style of comedy.
Yeah.
That goes.
But I understand it because
that goes over my head. I'm just sitting there looking.
yeah. Because I've gotten that, especially from other comedians. I've had other comedians come up to me and say literally, it's like, I don't understand how you make them laugh. I don't understand. You're not doing jokes. And I'm like, this is a character.
It's a character. It's a whole thing. Like it's and I love it because you still roll with it, and it's I don't know the whole. It's again, I'm going to throw out another name here, like another comedian I love to watch is Hannah Gadsby, and she's a similar style where she's got that. She does pun heavy shows. She loves it.
Yeah, because it's like. There's Magical Paul, which is the character I have for children. And then there's the dude in the Hawaiian shirt, Paul, who kind of just shows up in your Zoom room. And it's like, the thing about it is the whole point of this character is that he is your best friend.
Exactly.
Even if you don't know him. Like I often tell people, it's like, the only reason people invite me to parties is because I can do card tricks, but what I really do is just eat all your snacks and leave.
Yes. Laughter from the potato chip enthusiast over there.
There's a lot of truth to that because I remember the first show Paul was on. And my first thought is, we got a fucking magician? What the fuck are we gonna do with a magician? And I only say that because I've seen like 40 other magicians on Zoom, and I was right. That's the worst part. It's like when you're the smart black guy, and you're like, oh, my other buddies are fucking this up for me. Yes, I'm still smart. Don't you start with me, right? And so when you're the funny magician, because most magicians aren't funny. We're just gonna be honest there. Most magicians are kind of creepy.
No.
And so, like real life, tell the truth, Paul, you've met some magicians. Most real life magicians are not the sanest people. Sorry. They're kind of like I like the way Paul's like, I'm not throwing him under the bus, but you know what the fuck I'm talking about.
He's like, I'm not gonna name names. No
Yeah,
names.
you don't have to say names. Just give us acronyms for their fucking initials, and we'll call it a day, right? But my point is, when I see Paul, is like, this guy's kind of funny. Oh fuck, he actually does
Well,
the trick. And I was like,
the,
fuck, I think I like this guy. God damn it, shit. All right, I'll let him slide. I'll let him slide.
well, I always tell people I grow on people. So basically, the whole point of this character, the Hawaiian shirt guy, is I'm kind of the whole point of my character is I'm kind of doing magic. I'm trying to show you how to do it. And then I just kind of like pull the rug out from under you. Because if I'm really good at luring people into a false sense of security, and right when you feel comfortable, that's when I bend reality. So I'm kind of, that's pretty much my character. Because when somebody hires me for 2 hours of walk around magic, I'm a very different magician, but I feel like I'm the closest to my real self when I'm doing comedy magic.
That's awesome. Like I said, I love it. I have thoroughly enjoyed this show. I think you're going to go big places. Honestly, somebody needs to pick you up. Anybody watching this show, any agents, somebody needs to pick this guy up now.
Yeah.
Seriously.
God damn it, we were working on that, Paul.
Well,
Bitch, you're giving away free business here. Paul's been begging to get on a Suit Man show.
Then pick him up. Pick him up.
I'm trying to build the hype. Fuck you guys. I can't do anything around here. You know, I'm the mastermind of this shit, Paul, and this is how they treat me. They get comfortable doing this shit, and then now they just throw me. You know what?
hey, I just showed up today, man.
That's all he's got to do.
So did I. And thanks to the Mexican food, I've barely been here most of the time. Jesus Christ.
Well, like I said, I had food poisoning about like 2 weeks ago, and it was like the worst. It's always the worst experience. I'm just like, it's not worth it. I'm just cooking at home.
I'm going through the other end of it right now, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ. I'm finally trying to come around, and I'm like, ooh, I can breathe. The smell of sausage from my roommates isn't killing me too bad now. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I'm okay. Like, fucking Christ.
Somebody needs to Uber some Gatorade over to him.
Chicken soup, Gatorade. Get those electric.
For once, Jesus Christ. Well, I've got a couple questions here that I need to ask you just so I can know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you. What's your goal this year? Because we talk, and we don't talk a lot, but we've had a couple of talks in between about goal building. And what is it for this year for Paul? What are we doing? Are we going corporate? Or are we going to try to do our special?
I really want to pursue comedy magic, and that's the reason I was doing in-person shows, and then I immediately went to Zoom, and just building this character, learning as much as I can from the different comedians, writing as much as possible, get better at writing. I take all kinds of classes. So it's just being able to take everything I learn and apply it in the real world, to actually make money doing this thing that we call comedy.
Yeah, and I think that's the hardest part, is
cool.
getting over that next step to make the money.
Yeah, let's talk about that. As somebody who's building his brand, I've had to adjust my idea what success is, and what I mean by that is my friends here on this podcast tell me every day, shit. Yeah, there we go.
He's got it.
that fuck, my brain's not working today either. That I'm successful, but money isn't always part of that equation. And so let me ask you, if you could impact another 100 people the way you impacted that girl that was stopped being bullied, or make $100 million, which one would you rather do?
I would probably try to help people. So it's at the end of the day, it's not about how much money you make. It's for me, it's about showing somebody that they can do something. That's what I get out of life. That makes me feel good. I mean, money's great. Yeah, who doesn't love money?
All right.
And it'll always be there. But for me, I just really like to inspire people to be better every day. For me, I try to be better at what I do every day. Whether it happens or not, I have no clue, but that's my goal.
Stop
Yeah.
stealing my mantra.
I feel inspired.
You've been tuning into my shit. I know you're reading my poems, Paul. He's stealing my lines. This fucker's sharing my playbook. That's damn near the slogan of Suit Man, offering unique opportunities for minorities and those underrepresented in the entertainment industry. You son of a Paul's doing that in magic. Paul, no, but you know what the best part is I asked you that question for a reason. As I started asking it, you didn't see Audra's face lit up. She's like, "Yeah, he better fucking say 100 people. If he says 100 million, I don't want to fucking interview him again." And Jane's face was like,
That's out.
"I know he's gonna say it. I'm not even gonna respond. I'm not gonna get emotional. Paul's a good guy. Dante's throwing him a bullshit question. I hate Dante." But no, the idea is that, and this is what I'm trying to get you to hear is, Paul, we are successful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to hint at this earlier. Paul the magician, the comedic magician, is Paul. Suit Man is Dante. And the best thing I can tell you, buddy, is how amazing does it feel to now know who you are?
Oh no, it's awesome.
Like and I know you have a simple answer, but let me ask you, what day was it that you figured it out? Because I know the day. For me, it was when I was in DC and I just had John Legend shout me out, and I got paid to be in DC by my fans, and they flew me out.
That was awesome.
Pretty
That
great.
was my moment. I'm sitting there looking at a cathedral, and I was talking to my buddy, and I was like, I'm fucking Suit Man. I'm not Dante anymore. I don't think I can be anybody's employee anymore.
I think it was about 2 years ago, and I had just gotten out of the hospital, and I said to myself, I had somebody in the hospital tell me, "You're really funny. You should do stand-up comedy." And I says, "Okay, I will try." And then I got out, and I was doing a magic with a message at one of the it's called the JCC. It's it was like for a Jewish community center.
I know what the JCC is.
And it was for a group. It was for a group sponsored by Yale, and they have this program called Spark. And I did my magic with a message, and I said to a group of people, I said, it's like I would like to get into stand-up comedy. And it just so happened that a comedian here in New England, his name is Dan Calwhite. Hi, Dan. He was in the audience with a friend of his, and he's like, I run this thing down at a place called Cafe 9. We can offer you stage time. And I was like, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm funny. I didn't say that, but I just was like, boom. I just like, and when I was up on stage and those people were laughing, and I was doing, I don't even think I did any magic that night. I think I just came in, and I had like way too much material.
From life experience.
Yeah. And that's when I knew that I wasn't Magic Paul anymore. I was Paul Kilmer, comedy magician. And then, because it was important for the first 3 months of doing comedy that I didn't do any magic at all, because I wanted to see if I was good enough. And then slowly I started bringing in these weird stuff like the bird's nest, and this is my favorite. This isn't my gag, but I tell people it's like, hey, it was free pen day at the bank. They gave me a pen for free. They weren't happy about me taking it, but they said I could have
Is I've noticed
now that isn't my gag. And I've taken it out of my act because I've started to create other gags. But that was kind of my gateway into stand-up comedy, and then I started going to open mics, and people gave me advice, and I think I more just paid attention. Like, my favorite thing about in real open mics is when the new guy comes in and he asks for a specific place on the list, even though the list is already done. That's something I learned not to do.
Right.
That's something I learned not to do. Or tell the showrunner when I'm going up. I think I did that by accident, not knowing what I was doing, but the people in my scene are very patient. And I always tell people, if I do something, tell me. I would rather have you tell me and then I not do it. And then when I do online mics and converting time zones, and I learn a lot. Every time I do an open mic, I learn so much from the comedians like Dante and Sam Medina of Hypothetical Comedy, and Brian and Ham of Meat Slap, and all these really good comedians that kind of take me under their wing and tell me when I'm it's like, hey, you may not want to do this. This might make people angry. And I'm like, I didn't know I was doing that. So thank you. So I don't embarrass myself.
The best, let me say this, the best piece of advice I gave him had nothing to do with fucking comedy. He told us about his diabetes before he's told his old lady. I said, you never do that fucking again. That was the best piece of advice ever.
You tell them first.
He told me, a fucking stranger, Paul, about your disease, and you didn't tell your fiance. What the fuck is wrong with you, Paul?
Sorry. I was scared.
That was the best. Fuck the comedy advice I ever gave Paul. That didn't mean shit. But that right there, that was golden. That was. I think we're about there. Yeah, we've went about we're about there. I think so. We've got another show in about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Here's what I would say to you, Paul. You are a fucking pleasure.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean that in so many ways. It's funny to meet people that I can look at and I can tell we're different. And
I like you so much, Paul. I'm gonna friend you on Facebook.
I will accept you.
We're all friends now.
Is what's gonna work for you. And some of the people aren't gonna tell you this. I'll give you a heads up. Some of what you're doing is what's called prop comedy, and it is something that not enough people do anymore. Carrot Top's the last prop comedian we had, right? I don't think we've had a magician and a comedian at the same time on a national level. Anybody who's really doing both, and I commend you, brother. So before we get out of here, we always like to make sure everybody knows, what do you have coming up soon?
Oh my God. So I have a Zoom open mic with Sam Medina, Hypothetical Comedy. The whole point of the comedy, Zoom comedy, is that you're doing a set from the point of view of your cat. And then I have a birthday open mic because my birthday is March 14th.
Yes.
My friend Alicia Rain from one of the Dakotas. Sorry, Alicia, I'm so sorry. She's putting that on.
Nobody.
There was this podcast, and there's 6 or 7 more gigs that are in the works that are just going to be coming down the pipe in March, and you'll be able to find all those on my Facebook, Paul Kilmer, and
awesome.
All the other stuff that I do, all my random thoughts that I put into the universe.
Musings.
Thank you for coming, Paul. Audrey,
no
do you have a last closing question? Are you good?
Nope, I'm good.
Jane, you've been kind of quiet, but you've been overly well with the sound effects today. Oh,
Loving
Yay.
it.
Now I don't have to multitask.
she said, I just don't talk. I just do the sound effects. Fuck it. Oh,
I do want to say that like it was really interesting to hear your story about how you got into comedy, because that's also how I got into comedy.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
somebody I said I was a comic artist, but somebody thought that I meant that I was a stand-up, and they're like, "Oh, you do stand-up? You should come to this open mic." That's where I met Dante. And instead of saying, "Oh, I've never done comedy," I was like, "Yeah, I'll have
Yeah, okay.
material by then. It'll be great." I went and I was like, "I guess I'm doing this now."
And then I did my usual Dante thing. I brought her aside as, you're kind of funny. A little guidance. I'm not going to tell you anything, but if you've got a minute, she's, I've definitely got a minute. It's, oh, we're people then. Let's talk. And ever since she's been doing the flyers and I've been doing the comedy, it's worked a whole lot better. No, I'm fucking.
I was like, "Hey, I design things. Please pay me." And he's like, "Hey, I need some designs."
Yeah, that's we've gotten her logo work. She's done some other logo work. We work back and forth, and that's Paul. I think you might be part of the team. I think you passed the initiation. You'd asked about it before, but thank you for having him. I see I had to turn off his camera. Old lady probably came in and said, "Hey, I heard."
No.
I
I was friending. So they sent me.
Oh, he's like,
Yeah, they said.
I do like you guys. I got to give you my attention now. Even in
I'm
the
sorry.
interview, you couldn't have waited 5 fucking seconds, Paul. Jesus Christ. Anyways, let me get out of here because that way I can cuss out Paul without everybody seeing. I don't want to get canceled. I'll just get canceled in the green room. We're good. Now I'm just fucking. I love Paul Kilmer, wonderful comedian. Our co-host Audra Cisa, give it up for her. Our other co-host, give it up for her. And then last but not least, in about 2 hours and 20 minutes, we're launching the first transcontinental full spectrum of disabilities, both mental and physical disabilities, dating show. So if you come back at about 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 in UK, and we will be talking about our first. All 6 of our panel hosts and guests will divulge a story that's their first, whether it may be their first date, their first sexual experience, maybe emailing their first crush. I don't know who's that fucking crazy. Like an 11-year-old checks their fucking email. I don't know what's wrong with Jane Giro. Anyway, I'm not gonna point no fingers, but Jane Giro's a fucking weirdo. Anyways, hear more about Jane Giro and her dating life at noon today. Thank you for coming. My name is Suit Man. Always a pleasure. See you guys next month. We'll have Jane Eccleston in. We're going to do it Saturday, the 3rd at 8 p.m. to accommodate her schedule. So if you're looking for us next month on Sunday and you don't see us, it'll at least be on YouTube by then. Good night, everybody!